So I know in the last episode I told you guys how I got this car running, and it didn't need anything because it just started running on its own. Well, I later found out that that was a fluke. This car has had the gnarliest intermittent starting problem for the past couple weeks. You could literally start the car, drive it for an hour, come home, park it, and it wouldn't start right off the bat. The weirdest thing ever. So this is an intro to this video. I've already filmed everything and we did fix the issue. But I want to come on here and say, because this was supposed to just be a general maintenance video, but it turned into a dedicated troubleshooting video. There's a lot of good info in this video, and this is an issue that is not very prevalent on the internet. I didn't really see any threads on this. I think I read through one that was a pretty similar issue, but it's pretty unique, and I think it should be known because it was not the easiest thing to track down. So this video was supposed to start off with me just swapping the fuel pump and thinking that that would fix it. So there's a lot of, this is pretty much a roller coaster because some of the things I was like, this will fix it, and it didn't. I was all over the place with this intermittent starting issue because I would fix one thing and the car would run and I'd be like, oh, I fixed it, and then it wouldn't run. So anyway, strap up because this is a nice video with a lot of information about this E30. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get this E30 running consistently. So let's get into it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take this old fuel pump out since I got the new one. So really quick, while I got the pump down with all the wiring easily accessible, we're gonna test to make sure it's not a power delivery problem. This is what I've been trying, but now that I'm looking at it, I actually think I was jumping the wrong ports. So basically, if you come over here to your relays, you got the main relay, which is the 5-prong, then you got a fuel pump and an O2. I thought fuel pump was in the middle, but these are easily changeable. My fuel pump relay is on the right side. And then what you want to do is you want to jump pins 87 and 30. So it'll be the one closest to the engine and then the one closest to the window. I've also heard mixed things about this. Apparently it changes. But so get a little jumper wire here, touch them, and you can see, maybe you guys can hear, the fuel pump's running. I'll bring the camera down over there so you can listen better. Well, it looks like it does in fact work. If you see there, the pump might not be the issue, which is a shame because now this is going to be a little bit more difficult of troubleshooting. But again, made of bad noises, so had to be done anyway. I'm not worried about it. It was only 80 bucks for a new one. Okay, so fuel pump in, relay jumped, fuel pump activated. I can hear it running, and still no start. So looks like we are having a spark issue, and a crank sensor gives you spark and fuel, but if I'm getting away from the fuel side of that problem because I'm jumping over the relay, then that would mean that we're still not getting spark, but there's no way for me to, jump spark here. So I'm thinking it's a crank sensor. There's no point in me even checking for spark because I know it doesn't have any. So before I go down the road of, oh, is my ECU good, is the cap, rotor, all this stuff good, just the way it failed, I'm thinking it was the crank sensor because the car had spark, in the last video. So I don't think any of those components would just up and, go bad. The ignition coil, maybe, but I'm gonna not think it's that either. And the reason I'm gonna go straight for crank sensors is because I have them. So I'm gonna go in my basement and grab some of the crank sensors that I have. Here's the old one. It's very easy to do crank sensor on this car. It's the bottom one that says B on it. The old one, no visual issues except for the connector broke off, but that's pretty much unrelated. Now you could check for resistance on these, but I always have issues. My multimeter always, as soon as I hook it up, just jumps. It just climbs everywhere. There's no solid reading. I don't know if I'm using it wrong or what. So I've never once been able to actually get a proper crank sensor test. But the end is dirty, but usually these will still work even if the end's a little bit dirty. But moment of truth, let's fire this thing up. Well, let's try to fire this thing up and see if it runs. Nothing? Ow. I'm annoyed. So then I went ahead and I put it straight onto the ignition coil to make sure it's not the distributor cap or rotor. No spark straight from the coil. So that means that it is something else. I swapped in a new coil, swapped in 2 crank position sensors, swapped ECUs from the E28 because luckily they're the same, and the main relay, and I'm still not getting a start on this car. So last night I did some thinking. After a bunch of failed attempts at trying to solve spark, I got irritated and I came out here in the middle of the night because something occurred to me. And like I stated in the video earlier, these cars are simple. What do they need to run? They need a crank sensor, an ECU, an ignition coil, and a main relay, essentially. Not to run, but to give the car spark. And I'm like, all right, I've tried all those. What is the deal? But I remembered one little guy that we forgot, and that is the fusible link, which runs basically the smaller battery wire through the whole car to this engine bay to the block here, which is what powers the engine electronics. And I said, you know what? I bet that's bad. So what I did last night in the middle of the night was grabbed a jump box and hooked it straight onto this power distribution block here. And lo and behold, the car started. So I said, all right, we have a disruption to our fusible link. So I came back here in the trunk and I cut out the fusible link. I said, I'm gonna figure this out, expecting to find a blown up fusible link. However, that's not what I found. This fusible link appears to be totally intact. I did a continuity test, ignore the rust please. I did a continuity test from here to here and it works. So this fusible link is good. And that threw me through a loop, because now I'm saying, what the hell? But if you really come up here and look at this, look at how rusty all these connections are on this box here. I mean, they look like they've been under the ocean. I think this is a great area for like continuity, because I mean just the rust. So my plan of attack, since that fusible link appears to be good and it's clearly a power to the engine electronics issue, I'm gonna undo all these connections and I'm gonna clean them. I'm gonna wire wheel every single one. So I'm gonna take all these off and clean them one by one and see if we have a start. So I confirmed I do have 12 volts at the junction box here, which is not making sense to me, because now if this is getting power, then I don't know why that's not getting power. I'm gonna grab the jump box and see if maybe last night was a fluke as to why it started. The things are getting a little annoying here. I'm getting pretty annoyed. Strap in, because we're about to start doing some good old multimeter troubleshooting, because there's clearly some gremlin with this car that I can't figure out. And to go over it, we've replaced with a parts car, or not the parts car, but the E28, swapped coils, DMEs, and main relays, and everything, and same result, crank sensors. So it is a fault somewhere with the wiring of this car. So we're gonna go through and do some tests here. To start, we're gonna check that the main relay has power with the key off. Pins 30 and 86 should be hot at all times. So we're gonna go ahead and check that the main relay here is getting the right voltage here. So 86 and 30s, these two. The one closest to the fender and then the one closest to the window. You can see there, 12.3 volts. So DME relay, main relay, is getting voltage from the battery, which is good. So that means that it's getting voltage and it clicks over, which means that the main relay is functioning and it's getting power. Now we want to go ahead and check pin 18 on the DME and make sure that that is also getting power, because they're obviously related. So then we could kind of decipher if it's an engine harness issue. So I think that's what that will tell us. Let's go over there and check that out. A series of tests, which will hopefully lead us to our issue, are all going to come from the DME side of the harness. So we got to get this out. And now to make this easier, slide this off so you can read the actual pinouts on the connector here. So right now, pin 18 should be hot with the key off. So let's go ahead and find pin 18, which is the last pin on the front side. So it's this one right here. So we're going to check that with a ground. Pin 18, when tested for voltage, brings back 12 volts, which is good. So pin 18 is hot, which it should be. That's an always hot wire right there. So that is good. So funny story, I've been using this pinout diagram to guide me through this from the wrong module. I've been using a Motronic 1.3, which is I think a 55 pin plug out, or pin out. I've been using well, this is not that. So everything I've been reading is not the right pins, but somehow it matched up enough to where pin number 18 did get me 12 volts, which led me to believe that the wiring is good, the constant 12 volts. But then it led me to pin 27, and pin 27 on this, I don't know what it does, but on Motronic 1.3, it is a start signal from the ignition switch. So that's the route I've been going through right now. And I pulled up an ETM of pin number 27, or so I thought, through the engine, right? And found the wire diagram of where the wiring goes. And now there's a box that is under the driver's side footwell that I'm gonna have to go pull out too and get, because I read a thread about a guy who said that that box had bad connections and that's why he wasn't getting power to this pin. So I'm gonna, well, not right now because I gotta run, but I'm gonna, next time I get the chance, I'm gonna head over there, get under there and check out that box and see if that's maybe where my lack of start is coming from. Maybe I'll find something there. Otherwise, these pinouts were helpful to get me here, but they're not really the right thing, so they didn't get me far except for confusion as to why, you know, why the pins aren't getting the voltage that they're supposed to or whatever. After reading through some ETMs and this guy's post, he mentioned that the wire that goes into that runs through a box, and it's called a onboard computer relay box, and it's this one right up here with the two green connectors going into it. So I figured I would kind of mess with that, and I started the car and it ran, and then I felt around down there, and lo and behold, when I wiggled that box, car shut off. So now if you listen to this box, or if you listen while I jiggle this box, listen to the main relay. I might have to put the ignition on. Yeah, listen to this. So right now I'm jiggling the connector, and that noise you're hearing is the main relay clicking on and clicking off. So the wires that run through this box go to the main relay, and the connections at this box are not proper or not clean, and wiggling that basically is what gets the main relay activated. So now look, I'll start the car. Well, it's not gonna start. Hold on, let me wiggle. Okay, now let's see. Alright, car starts. Now come down here, wiggle the connectors, boom, car shuts off. So 110% our issue right there, our intermittent no start. This isn't well documented on the internet, so I'm hoping this video finds the people that need it. I'm gonna pull those connections out, see if they're dirty or corroded or whatever. I'm gonna clean them up the best I can and reinsert and see what happens. I don't know, they don't seem like, you know, in a weathered spot. They don't seem like they have wear on them. So I'm hoping I can clean these enough to where it won't jiggle so easily. At least now I know, in case my car doesn't start, I can wiggle it. But I don't know if it needs a new box. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I'm gonna investigate that, see if I can get this connections tighter or whatever, and then we should have a freaking runner finally. A consistent runner. So basically all I did was pull the connectors out, and I actually pulled the whole circuit board out of the box. So I don't know what's up with that thing, but I basically just reinserted the connectors, and I got it to now where I can wiggle it around pretty good and the car stays on. So I think we're all right here. Now I know though, I don't know what was up with it, but I can wiggle it around pretty good now and no issue. So I'm gonna just go ahead and assume just reinserting it, maybe firmer, maybe things were just kind of starting to fall out. I think we're all right there. So this insane intermittent no start issue seems to be solved. Thank the Lord, because dude, I've been driving myself crazy. This one was honestly quite the battle. I really struggled figuring this out. These cars are super simple, and I had an advantage because I have a identical drivetrain E28, and I have a lot of all these parts laying around. So for me, I was able to go through and basically throw parts at it, which pinpointed me to understanding that it was a wiring thing. But if you didn't have access to what I have access to, this could be a very difficult thing to solve, and that's why I wanted to film this video, because I'm hoping down the road someone one day finds this and needs this. And yeah, I mean, a weird thing, I don't know if over the years the connections just kind of start to kind of fall out because they're vertical or what, but that's the last thing I would expect to be the intermittent starting issue in this car, a module box with a loose connector. I don't know why the start signal goes through that. I noticed when cranking without that functioning, there's a noise you hear when it does work, and you hear like the injectors kind of like clicking. Without that noise, you don't hear that. So the crank sounds different, which I didn't know until doing it many times. But anyway, I hope this helped some people. I got the car inside because now in the next episode we're going to start with doing the basic maintenance that we intend to do this video. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped some people. And we will see you in the next episode. Peace.